going to be negative infinity to infinity, so you don't even have to worry about that. But then the range is also then determined by your vertex as well. So we can talk a little bit about that, and then also talk about how to find a vertex on your calculator, because that is a little bit of a new topic. It's not the same as the stats thing that we've been doing. And then lastly, we can write each function into vertex form. As far as the graphing goes, the graphing is for us to kind of get a visual of what the parabola looks like, and then that's going to start leading us into, well, what is the range of the quadratic? Well, the range is the y values being used. It's always above or below whatever your vertex is. So once you know what that vertex is, it starts to tell you a lot of things about the parabola. So if you've watched sections 1 and 2, you should see that theme kind of reoccurring. The vertex is pretty important. All right, so number 7, we can kind of look at finding the vertex in a couple of ways. The first thing that you did in section 2 with finding the vertex was, hold on, let me get there we go, was using that opposite of b over 2a. So like this one, I would take opposite of b, which is 4 over 2 times 1. I'd get 4 over 2, which gives me 2. So that tells me that in my vertex, I have an x-coordinate of 2. Then what I would have to do is take the 2, put it back into the function, and see what my y is. So we can do this mentally. It's pretty small numbers. So 2 squared is 4. So that becomes 4. Minus 4 times 2, which is 4 minus 8, which is negative 4, plus 6 brings me back to 2. So this is just an anomaly. My vertex is at the point 2, 2. So if I want to write this in vertex form, the 2, 2 now is my h and my k to put it into vertex form. But I want to show you another way that you can find the vertex. And in order for me to do that, I'm going to need to erase what I just did there. Is that okay if I erase that? So the second option is you do have a way to do it on your calculator. So let me get this opened up. So I'm kind of assuming that the section 3 is going okay. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on that. If you still have questions on your stat, how to do that, you can let me know. But let's take a look at this. So you can graph your quadratic. You'll head into your y equals. So you put in your quadratic. Here's your x button right next to alpha, x. You're going to be using that a ton. Squared is diagonal from the 7, x squared, minus 4x plus 6. There was our quadratic that we had. You can graph it, kind of see what it looks like. There it is. Remember, if your window is all messed up, like if you changed it for a story problem and it's different, you can just hit zoom 6 and it'll go back to the standard window. Now, do you guys remember what our vertex was when we found it the other way? Remember what it was? 2, 2. There it is. Now, on your calculator, you don't really have the ability to just kind of scroll over and find that vertex. You have to find it exactly using a calculate function. So here's where you're going to kind of want to watch me, and I'll try to go at a pace where you guys can keep up if you want to. So here you're going to go to second, trace, which is your calculate menu. Now, since this is a parabola that opens up, the lowest point, the vertex, is going to be a minimum in this case. So we're going to go to minimum, and then we're going to hit enter. Now it's going to ask you 2 questions. It's going to ask you left bound and right bound. What left bound means, left just means where is a point on the parabola that's left of the vertex. And right now, my blinky thing, it's kind of hard to see, but it's right here. It is to the left of this vertex. So I am to the left of the vertex. I'm going to hit enter. Then it's going to say right bound. Well, I got to get around to the right side. And it doesn't matter where you are on the right, just as long as you're somewhere to the right of your vertex, you hit enter. It's going to ask us to guess. You do not need to do anything here. In the directions on your calculator, it'll tell you to try to go down and find where that vertex is. So there we go. But you do not need to do anything on guess. You just hit enter again. And there it's going to tell you your vertex. Now, because of how the pixels are set up on your calculator, sometimes it doesn't give you exact answers. Like here, it's kind of hard to see, but it's 2.00000068 at the end. This is just going to be 2. So sometimes your calculator will kind of round that vertex to a weird decimal. You can just round it back to the nearest whole number. So there would be your vertex 2, 2. Now, once we know the vertex, this is when now we can write it in vertex form. So vertex form, remember, is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. And now that I know the vertex, I can now start to put that in for h and k. And then I do know the a value. It's the same as the a value in standard form, so it's a 1. Once I know the a value, I'll put that there. It's a 1. You don't need to put it there on this one. If it's a 1, you can leave it blank. But x minus 2 squared plus 2. So that number right there, those represent the h and the k of that vertex. So that's the connection we're trying to make. You can always take standard form. You can find the vertex of that standard form. We can convert it back into vertex form. So vertex form was everything that we did in section 1. Standard form is everything that we did in section 2, but we can convert between the two. And now hopefully you have 2 ways that you can find the vertex. You can do the opposite of b over 2a. You can find the vertex that way, or you can put in the function into your calculator and you can use that max or min, and you can find it. Just remember, your calculator almost always will give you like a little weird decimal for the vertex. Just round it to the nearest whole number. So these vertexes that we use are going to be whole numbers. I know the one in the video, it wasn't. It was kind of a weird decimal. But in these assignments, we're always going to have a nice whole number. All right, then we'll head back to number 8. There it is again. So we can do the opposite of b over 2a, which is going to be negative 2 over 2 times 1, which is going to give us negative 1 when we do that. Then the vertex, I put a negative 1 in. That would make this 1. Minus 2 is negative 1 plus 4. So our vertex is going to be negative 1, 4. Or let's just graph it out and see what it looks like. I already forgot it. What was it? Is x squared. Anybody got it? X squared, was it plus 2x? Plus 2x plus 5. There it is. Oh boy, did we get the vertex right? What did we say it was? Negative 1, 4? Yep, that looks about right. So again, it's a minimum, so I'll go second, calculate number 3. And I got to do the whole left bound, right bound. It's kind of annoying, so get your blip to the left of it. Get your blip to the right of it. And you don't need to worry about guessing. Just hit enter again. And there it is. So there you can see, again, it's negative 0.99999. But we're going to round that to negative 1. So negative 1 would be your vertex. Now putting it in vertex form, we're going to have y equals 1 times x plus 1 squared plus 4. So that number right there is the x coordinate of my vertex, negative 1. That number right there is the y coordinate of my vertex, 4. So there's your your h and k then put into your vertex form. So I would recommend that you know, or for sure know how to find the vertex from vertex form. So that's just these 2 numbers, h and k. And what do you do, like if there wasn't a plus 4 at the end, what would you use for your k value? If there's just no number there at all, what would we use? A what? Like if there's no k, it was plus nothing, and there's nothing at the end. Use a 0. So if there was nothing there, it'd be a 0, same with the x. If it's just like 1x squared, it's just 0. There's no h value in there. So know how to find vertex from your h and k. Opposite of b over 2a in section 2, know how to find the vertex there. And now practice with the calculator. You can graph it. You'll be able to see where the vertex is, but you still have to calculate that left bound, right bound to get the exact. So you can't just scroll up to it and estimate. You're going to want to play around with that max min to be able to find it. So a lot of things are leading us to knowing what that vertex is. That's a lot of what we're looking at. Are there any questions other than that are jumping out at us that we want to take a look at? I do want to give you guys some time, so we got about 22 minutes so that you can ask me individual questions. If we don't ask as a group, that's fine. But you can work with one other person at your table if you want, but the rest of the time, the last 22 minutes is yours, and then I'll be coming around to help out as needed. So try that new way on your calculator if you haven't tried it yet. See if you can find a vertex by graphing it with technology. Are you today, Gus? Huh? How are you doing? I was feeling good today. I like the extra hour change. Hour makes me feel like I slept more or something. Yeah, it's brutal. It comes back in March. March, we'll lose it again. Right now, we're technically on normal time for 3 months, and then we go back to daylight savings time again.